Let me show you a quiet kind of loss, the kind that doesn't feel like losing anything at all. Imagine you've done everything right. Every month you move a little money aside, and you never touch it. After a few years, you look up, and there it is, $30,000 sitting safely in your savings account. You feel calm, you feel responsible, and you should. That is real discipline. But let's look a little closer. If that money is in a typical savings account, it's earning around 1/3 of 1% right now. On $30,000, that's about $114 for the entire year. Meanwhile, prices around you are rising by roughly 3.5%. Which means, in terms of what your money can actually buy, that same $30,000 quietly lost close to $1,000 of its real value this year. So you did everything right and still ended the year a little poorer. Not from any mistake, but because your money stood still while the world kept getting more expensive. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. The problem was never that you saved. Saving was the right first move. The problem is that saving was only ever meant to be step one, and most people quietly get stuck there forever. So, in the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the calm, step-by-step path from saving to investing, no gambling, no stress, and without ever risking your safety net. I'm Sam, and this whole channel runs on one simple idea. You don't have to be loud, lucky, or fearless to build wealth. You just have to be calm and consistent. So if you've got money sitting in savings and you've never quite felt ready to invest it, take 1 second and subscribe. This is exactly what we work through here. Now let me say something a little uncomfortable. Keeping all your money in savings doesn't just slow you down. Over time, it quietly costs you. Here's why. Saving and investing are two completely different jobs. A savings account protects your money from sudden loss, but it does almost nothing to protect it from time, from that slow, steady rise in prices that makes every dollar buy a little less each year. One job keeps you safe today, the other keeps you from falling behind tomorrow. Most people are using a tool built for the first job while expecting it to do the second. So let's look at what that means over time, calmly, with real numbers. Take that same $30,000. Leave it in a plain savings account, earning a fraction of a percent, and in 20 years you might have around $32,000 on paper. Sounds fine, until you adjust for rising prices. In terms of what it can really buy, that $32,000 would be worth closer to $18,000 in today's money. You'd have more dollars but less buying power. Your savings quietly shrank while you weren't looking. Now take that same $30,000 and invest it in a simple fund that owns the whole stock market, something that has historically returned around 10% a year over the long run. In 20 years, that could grow to roughly $200,000. And even after rising prices, that's still worth well over $100,000 in today's money. Same starting amount, same person. One path quietly erodes. The other quietly compounds. And notice the real lesson here. The biggest money gap usually isn't between people who spend and people who save. It's between people who save and people who let their savings grow. So if the math is this clear, why do so many careful savers never take the step? This is the part one most want you to hear, because it's the heart of everything we do on this channel. The barrier isn't math, it's emotion. Money in a savings account feels calm. You can see it. It doesn't move. It doesn't drop on some random Tuesday because of a scary headline. Investments do move, up and sometimes down, and that movement feels like danger, even when it isn't. So people freeze. They tell themselves they'll start once they understand it better, once the timing feels right. But ready almost never arrives, because the real discomfort was never about knowledge, it was about control. When your money moves and you can't stop it, your brain treats it like a threat, and it will happily keep you sitting in cash for years while inflation does the slow, invisible damage we just talked about. So here's the quiet truth, and it's the one thing I want you to take from this video. The calm investor's real edge isn't a stronger stomach for risk. It's a system, a simple structure that makes the ups and downs stop feeling personal. You don't beat the fear by feeling braver. You build a setup where the fear has almost nothing to hold on to. So let's build that setup, one calm step at a time. Step 1. Protect yourself before you try to grow. Before you invest a single dollar, set aside 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in plain cash, ideally in a high-yield savings account paying around 4%, so it at least keeps closer pace with prices. This is not your investing money. This is your life happens money. A lost job, a medical bill, the car that dies at the worst moment. Because here's what most people miss. The number one reason people panic sell their investments is that they suddenly need cash. A real emergency fund quietly protects your investments from your own life. Step 2. Give your money 2 clear jobs. Picture 2 accounts. The first is your safety money. It does not move, it does not get invested, and its only job is to help you sleep at night. The second is your growth money, and this one is allowed to rise and fall because its job is to grow over years, not days. That single line, safety here, growth there, removes an enormous amount of anxiety. You stop watching your emergency fund flinch every time the market so much as breathes. Step 3. Start smaller than you think you should. A lot of people believe they need thousands of dollars and a perfect plan before they can begin. You don't. Most platforms let you start with $50 or $100. At the start, the goal isn't big returns. It's building the habit and getting used to watching money move without reacting. Those first months train your nerves, not your net worth. The habit is worth more than the amount every single time. Step 4. Keep it boring, on purpose. This is where beginners get hurt, jumping into day trading, options, whatever's trending this week. But the simplest approach usually wins. A low-cost index fund lets you own a tiny slice of hundreds of companies at once, instead of betting everything on one. Broad, patient, diversified. Even Warren Buffett has said for years that most people are far better off in a simple, low-cost index fund than trying to outsmart the market. On this channel, boring isn't a weakness, it's the strategy. Step 5. Let time do the heavy lifting. And this is where staying calm quietly pays you back. Let me show you what patience actually builds. Say you invest $400 a month, and the market averages its long-run return over 30 years. You could end up with somewhere around $700,000. But here's the part that still amazes me. Out of your own pocket, you'd have put in about $144,000. The other $550,000 or so, that wasn't hustle. That was growth, working quietly in the background while you slept and lived your life. You didn't earn it by being clever or by timing anything. You earned it by being consistent and by refusing to panic when things got noisy. That is the entire game. Here's the way I've come to picture it. Keeping your money in a plain savings account is like standing still on an escalator that's slowly moving down. You're not doing anything wrong, but rising prices carry you gently backward the whole time. A high-yield account is like walking up that same downward escalator, effort just to stay roughly where you are. Investing is finally stepping onto the escalator going up, where the whole thing quietly carries you higher. Same person, 3 very different rides, and the only question is which one your money is on. Now, I can already hear the question, because I've asked it myself. What if I finally start investing and the market drops? It's a fair fear, so let me answer it calmly. Market drops aren't rare accidents. They're a normal, repeating part of how this works. They've happened over and over, and every time, the market eventually went on to new highs. And here's the insight that changes everything. When you're investing a steady amount every month, a downturn actually works in your favor. That same $400 buys more shares while prices are low, which quietly sets you up for stronger growth when things recover. That's why calm investors don't fear the dips. They're thinking in decades, not days. So let's bring the whole calm path together. 1. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, so life can't force you to sell at the wrong time. 2. Give your money 2 jobs, safety and growth, so the ups and downs stop feeling personal. 3. Start small and build the habit before you chase the amount. 4. Keep it simple, with low-cost index funds. And 5. Stay consistent and give compounding the years it needs to work. Because here's the truth it took me a long time to really understand. A savings account protects your money from almost everything, except time. Investing is how you protect it from time itself. You don't have to choose between safe and growing. You just have to move calmly from one to the next. If this made that first step feel a little less scary, subscribe and stay with us. This is what we do here, one calm step at a time. And I'm genuinely curious, right now, are you still in the saving stage or have you already taken your first step into investing? Tell me in the comments, I read them.